what does the choke do? Well, if you set them all to the same choke number, 1 for example, what will happen is if the snare, for example, is playing and that tail is like coming out, and then we have a kick playing right after that, it's going to cut the snare off and then play the kick. Let me give you an example of that really quick. So if we put a snare here and then a kick right after it, hear how the snare kind of gets cut off? So it's playing the snare, and then as soon as the snare sample gets to here, it plays the kick, and it stops the snare sample altogether. And that's a really subtle, minor thing. It can be a cool style, if you put a kick right after a snare in some places. But mostly I do that for the mix down, so that to make sure that we don't have a kick and a snare playing at the same time, which is going to boost the volume unnecessarily up. We want to keep our levels nice and clean and flat. You can see the levels are pretty flat there. And I think I'm going to add the hat to the choke as well, because we're only playing the hats in between the other samples. Cool. So now that we've got a bit of a pattern sort of established here, boom, 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 we can start to chop up these two breaks to mirror that. So because we've got this laid out nice, we can see, that's a kick, that's a snare, that's another kick, etc. So in our breaks section here, that's a snare, but then we have a hat there where the kick should be. So let's delete that and stick a kick there instead. And then we have another snare. No, that's a hat, sorry. Let's put a hat there. And I like that open hat. That sounds really cool, but we're going to do that sort of over here somewhere, so I'm just going to delete that. And then we want a kick here, and then a snare, and then a hat. Cool. Copy that, duplicate it over here, and we've got this pre-kick here that we made before, and this kick in the break is kind of like a pre-kick as well, so that'll be great there. And we'll move the open hat here just to change it up a bit towards the end of the pattern there, the end of the sequence. Alright, following me? Another thing I like to do with these breaks is there's a tricky little 100 orange thingy down here, which is actually called the... Oh, let me just get this back. It's actually called the transient envelope. So if I bring that down, you can hear that each sound is getting played from each transient, but then fading down in volume. The smaller I put this, it just turns into like little clicks, right? So that's a cool way to like tighten up your sampled drums. So I'm going to set that to like 25 or something. All right, but we don't want to do that to this. We want to have the open hat, so let's increase that back to 100, and here as well. Nice and tight, nice and groovy. Let's have a listen to that with our main drums. All right, so you're probably noticing that the master is peaking. We're going to tidy that up in the next video.